This is Dr. Diamond. We're here at Highland Hill Farm on Garrison Road in Bradford County. And Dr. Diamond was the dean at Delaware Valley College. And we walked into the hunting camp here. You know, we have a lot of strange little critters up here on the wall and all. And he looks over and he sees this horn. He says, "Where'd you get that horn?" Well, I got it from a guy that was a sea captain. His name was Dwight, which I have a real story on that too. But at any rate, Dr. Diamond immediately recognized the horn. Go ahead, Doc.
Well, Bill, I recognize the horn because it's a zebu horn from zebu cattle that's raised in Central and West Africa, and it's a breed of cows that There's actually two sub races. There's a zebu rouge and a zebu blanche. One means that the color of the hair is red. That would be the rouge, and the blanche would be white. And they're raised mostly by the Fulani people. The Fulanis are nomads with their cattle, and that's one of the reasons why they have zebu cattle, because they do very well and can walk long distances, and they're very tolerant to drought. They can and they have a strictly grass diet, and also they're a breed of cows you can recognize them very easily. They have a hump on top of their shoulder, and they have these horns, and some of these horns. This is really a small one, really. Some of those horns get quite large, and this particular breed is also tolerant to trypanosomiasis, which is sleeping sickness, and also streptococcus, and that's a disease caused by ticks. And so they're a little more tolerant to these than some of the other breeds. Also, the Fulani people are kind of interesting people. They take these cattle on what they call a transhumance. And a transhumance is when they have guides up ahead, and they send people back to guide these cattle in certain directions, depending upon where the water is located and where there's grass. And one interesting thing about these Fulani people is that they have anthrax is a real problem in certain sections of Africa, and you're going to see anthrax, as you know, it's in the ground. And when their cattle come down with anthrax, they quarantine the cattle in a circle, in an area, and they keep them there until the anthrax runs its course. But while they're doing that, waiting for the cattle to die, they have a certain species of tree that they plant, and they plant it in a straight row for about 5 to 10 kilometers in a straight row. And I could never find out what the Latin name was for that tree. All they could tell me was in the indigenous language, and I didn't mean anything to me. But what that's for is that when it grows, the following years thereafter, when the guides are up ahead looking for grass and water, and they see these trees planted in a straight row, then they know that's an anthrax area, and they send word back to the herds and get them going in different directions around that area. So I thought that was an interesting disease control of the zebu cattle in that particular part of the world. They're very interesting people.
Okay, and thank you very much. And Dr. Diamond, how did you come to find out about that information about the zebu horn?
I worked in Africa for almost 10 years, and I worked with these cattle quite a bit. In fact, I used to vaccinate them with a French veterinarian and we used to go out in the bush, and one of the reasons why we were able to do it is they would never allow a government veterinarian to vaccinate their cattle, because they were afraid that the veterinarian was going to report to the government officials how many cattle they had, and then they would be taxed. Now, I was, the Frenchman and myself, we were not government employees, and so we had a trust with them, and they allowed us to vaccinate these cattle. And we had no place to, they had no corrals where we could put them in. And they made corrals made out of thorn bush. And they would jam the cattle in there, And then they would, one of these guys would jump up on the neck of in front of that hump and slide down over the neck with his legs straddling the neck, and he'd grab a hold of these horns, and then he would twist the head around and flip it over, and then we'd go up and we'd vaccinate it in the rump, and while I was on the ground, and then they reached down and grabbed a handful of cow manure and smeared the back, and that's how we could tell which ones was done and which ones weren't done, because we didn't have crayons to mark them over there. So that's how I got familiar with the thorn. That's why I recognized it right away as soon as I saw it.
And if you want to get more information about Africa, Dr. Diamond has written a book, and it was called
I Did What I Had to Do, and it's available on Amazon.com or in any bookstore in America.
All right, well, thank you very much. At Highland Hill Farm, we can ship trees, plants, and shrubs from seedlings and transplants to full-size nursery stock. We can ship on our trucks, which include F550s with 820-foot trailers, or we can use common carriers such as tractor trailers and ship tractor trailer loads or partial loads. We ship our seedlings and small transplants by UPS. And we also have planting equipment available for you for large purchasers of seedlings and transplants. So give us a call at 215-651-8329 for your tree and shrub needs. Thank you.